We are beginning a new psalm. I don't know why, but I love to start a new psalm. It's progress, it's moving forward. It's the same on Sundays. I love to finish one chapter of John and move into the next. And it's like opening a treasure box and getting to plumb the depths of all the surprises that God has ahead for us. So I'm really excited about Psalm 63. And what a journey this has been. We're more than halfway through the Psalms. We're coming up on our third anniversary. Many of you have taken the whole journey with me. And just thank you for making this a priority in your day. I hope that it is beneficial and encouraging to you as it is to me. So we're in Psalm 63, and our custom on days like today is that we simply get started. We just kind of survey where we're at, what's going on, where the psalm comes from, what's the background, the backstory, and then we read it. And this is a psalm of, I think, 11 verses that's before us. It's another psalm of David. Before we do that, before we introduce and kind of do a flyby, I want to just say this is a big day for us at Emmanuel, so pray for us. Throughout the day, we'll be ministering to about 100 church leaders as the worship conference begins. Today, the teaching is mostly Keith Getty and his wife, Kristen, and it'll be just a rich day of fellowship and encouragement, trying to equip and bless pastors and worship leaders to lead their churches to a culture of authentic worship. We love him because he first loved us. I often say to our church family, if we can't get there by loving Jesus, we don't want to get there any other way. That is the path forward in the Christian life. It's the only sustainable path forward. If it comes to doing anything in the work of Christ for the sake of the gospel, it needs to flow from love of Christ, love of God, based on the love he has shown us. It all begins with what God has done for us. And out of the understanding and the basking in the love of God, the heart is compelled to love back, and that is worship, a lifestyle of adoration, an expression of praise and love and devotion to God that flows from a sincere heart of love. It's not just a discipline or a duty, it is the overflow of love. And so a healthy Christian life is a worshiping Christian life. And a healthy church is a worshiping church. So you pray for us that we'll be able to help infuse that value into those that are here today and tomorrow. And then the concert tonight, it's going to be a room full, 1,000 tickets, and just going to be filling the rafters with God-honoring, Christ-honoring, theologically rich worship. And so pray for us. If you're a part of it, look forward to it, anticipate it. Psalm 63 says it's a psalm of David when he was in the wilderness of Judah. This is most likely later in his life when he ran from his son Absalom. Absalom kind of carried out a diabolical takeover, a coup, kind of a mutiny, if you will. And it was an insurgence that was unjust. It was anti-God. It was a son who was bitter and angry at his unresolved issues with his dad and things that David never really fully dealt with as a dad. And Absalom hated his father and really usurped the throne. And there was a moment where that seemed to be the new normal. It seemed to be a victorious takeover, a hostile takeover. And David and his family were driven from the city into the wilderness, into hiding. So David has this habit. We've seen it many times that when he is driven into hiding or when he is vulnerable or going through deep, dark valleys in life, he goes to God. He takes his soul and his trial and his hardship to God. And so that's what we're going to see. It's interesting to trace the development of this psalm. And I was reading this as the opening credits were rolling. Psalm 63, Warren Wiersbe breaks this down into 4 sections. Verses 1 and 2, David expresses desire for God, desiring God. Verses 3 through 5, praising God. Verses 6 through 8, remembering God. And verses 9 through 11, rejoicing in God. So remember as we read this, that this is all flowing from a wilderness experience. And before we read it, let's just think about that. Are you in the middle of a wilderness experience? They're common in the Christian life. They're common in the Holy Land. If you were going anywhere from any major place to any other major place from the Holy Land, you were going to journey through wilderness. And when we say wilderness in America, we mean trees and bears and moose and streams and lakes and ponds and trout. But when you say wilderness in the Holy Land, you mean desert. You mean barren hills and rugged, rough ravines, dusty, rocky, sandstone. It's just barren, dangerous. You're very vulnerable. Not a lot of water, not a lot of life, not a lot of vegetation, extreme conditions. So when we're talking about wilderness in the Bible, and we talk about wilderness in our journey with Jesus, we're talking about barren conditions, conditions that seem empty, provisionless, extremely vulnerable, depleted. So that's where David is. So if you're there or if you've been there, this is a good psalm to go to, and let's see what he's thinking. We're gonna dip into his personal devotions and his private walk with God. So David's got maybe a quill or some kind of pen, and he's got some kind of parchment, and this is what he says: "O God, thou art my God. Early will I seek thee. My soul thirsteth for thee. My flesh longeth for thee in a dry and thirsty land, where no water is, to see thy power and thy glory, so as I have seen in the sanctuary. Because thy loving kindness is better than life, my lips shall praise thee. Thus will I bless thee while I live. I will lift up my hands in thy name. My soul shall be satisfied as with marrow and fatness, and my mouth shall praise thee with joyful lips. When I remember thee upon my bed and meditate on thee in the night watches. Because thou hast been my help, therefore in the shadow of thy wings will I rejoice. My soul followeth hard after thee. Thy right hand upholdeth me. But those that seek my soul to destroy it shall go into the lower parts of the earth. They shall fall by the sword. They shall be a portion for foxes. But the king shall rejoice in God. Everyone that sweareth by him shall glory. But the mouth of them that speak lies shall be stopped." Oh, you know how I feel right now. I just want to dive right in, but we're not going to do that. So we leave it there. What a beautiful psalm. What a wonderful series of discoveries that we have ahead for us. And so meditate on these things. Psalm 63, in a wilderness, in a dry and thirsty land, God is someone you can go to today. So happy Thursday. Be encouraged. Thanks for joining me. Pray for us, and we'll see you tomorrow.